to make sure you have a CTA in the first 6 to 9 lines. And it doesn't have to be, hey, buy my thing. It could just be hyperlinked. And I pretty much dumbed it down to 5 content pillars. And it's ironic that it's an Italian word, but basically I call them the pesto pillars because we want to build personal brands that can not only, last a lifetime, but actually sell your product now. So one thing that's really been helpful for our clients has been this right here, which is a little about me. I know we already met, and there's only 2 of you here at the moment. But just to reiterate the context, I run a Twitter and LinkedIn marketing agency for personal brands, specifically and almost exclusively for online coaches, CEOs who sell info products and stuff like that through their personal brand and through viral content. So we're definitely going to be heavily related to what you guys do. We have about, we signed like 4 clients this week, so I actually don't know the total number, but it's anywhere from 13 to 15 clients usually at once, and I have a team of 6. So we pretty much just create about 21 times 14 pieces of content a week. So anywhere from 1 to 200 pieces of viral content a week. And we repurpose that to other platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Some of them go as far as reading them for scripts. So definitely going to be super helpful here. But the main thing I want to talk about is content pillars. So the old way we used to do things is we used to say that there's really just viral content and then there's sales content. We completely changed that about a year ago, and I pretty much dumbed it down to 5 content pillars. And the reason I dumbed it down to these 5 is because we want to build personal brands that can not only last a lifetime, but actually sell your product now. So the 5 pillars that we're going to go into, and it's ironic that it's an Italian word, but basically I call them the pesto pillars. And why I did that is I just wanted it to be a word that actually exists because it's easier to remember. Yes. So pesto. So the first pillar is going to be personal. Second pillar is going to be expertise or expert. Third pillar is going to be social proof. Then we have trending. And the last one we have is opinions. And these work together to build a well-rounded personal brand that's not only going to grow. For example, I know Bella is really good at the trending content, and I also know you're very good at the expertise content with the different dips and stuff like that and dance moves. But you might be lacking in something like personal content and opinionated content, and maybe even social proof content. Yes. So those are really the 3 that you might be missing. I'm not sure with your content, but again, especially in the copywriting niche, you're in the same space as me. I used to go heavy on the expertise content, which is how I grew my audience. And then now I go heavily on social proof content, which is how I'm converting my audience. So one of the questions I get asked a lot is, what is the balance? My answer is that everything's nuanced. I usually tell new creators to do 1/5, right? 20%, 20%, 20%, etc., right? But what you'll find is for your niche, for example, yours, that this content right here, the trending content, is what's driving your growth, and the expertise content. So those are going to be the pillars that's going to be a bulk of your content. And I'm going to get into what each of these will kind of look like right now. So with personal, this can be literally anything, but I usually like to go with storytelling content. And something you might see storytelling content for her, for example, is that most recently anything about her Nona, anything about her past, anything about the story, anything about me, that's all personal content, and it's in the storytelling narrative. And this is what this content is really going to do is it's going to build your character. It's kind of like, especially if you're a fan of fiction, it's literally character building content. So it's all about building your character, relating to your audience. And what I had mentioned to you guys over dinner is that people pay for the coach, not the coaching. So you want to build someone that people can relate to, find all of the 5, 6, 7 different things that kind of make you who you are. And that's going to fall into the personal category. And I'll give you an example, because our clients, for example, do anywhere from the worst clients, 30, 40 grand a month in their coaching programs, and the best clients up to 300 to 400,000 a month in just with content marketing. So an example of a storytelling content is I have a client, I have a lot of clients like this, but a lot of them have kids. I also have clients who love human performance and health hacking and stuff like that. So, if he sells a program on how to make money with vending machines, we're gonna go write content about how he's being a better father, how he's trying to live longer for his kids. Most recently was interviewing people on the street and things that they regret now that they're 70 or 80 years old. And what that does is it brings in a mass audience with trending content, and we're gonna go ahead and nurture them with the storytelling content. So again, we'll get deeper into that, but that's the personal pillar. So expertise is a good one. This is also gonna fall into the category of content that's really gonna grow you. It can also nurture, but it's really gonna grow your account as well and position you as an authority, which is gonna help with sales. So this can be mental models, frameworks, lists. Lists are great. 10 dance moves that will make you fall in love with your partner again. 10 copywriting techniques that can help you hook the reader. Lists are amazing. There was actually a study done that the top performing piece of written content right now is listicles on the internet, and that's in 2024. It's super updated. So we've been heavily relying on listicles, top 10, top 8, 8 of this, 7 of that. Those are crushing right now. So listicles, I'm gonna go lists/listicles are amazing. And expertise content, again, is gonna be one of those things that is both gonna grow, but it also convert your client. What it's really doing is building authority. People, they'll follow you, but it's like, why should I listen to you? Why should I buy from you? And we'll get into that in the next pillar as well. So social proof, testimonials, case studies. You can go as far as just screenshots, reviews, anything like that. And you can do this all in really creative ways, which we'll talk about for you guys specifically, but for example, right, like Alex Hormozi, he always talks about gym launch. I did a $40 million exit. He's making it very known why you should listen to him. Rich even did it when he was on here a few hours ago. Why should you listen to me? It gets them involved. It makes them want to buy from you. It actually makes them listen. And now they're actually going to be much more likely to buy your product. And the higher ticket you are, the more social proof you'll need. So social proof is also really important. And I'll show you guys where you can actually fit this into your brand, because not everything needs to be a reel, right? You're not gonna make a testimonial reel because it's not gonna go viral. So I'll show you where to put that. And this is gonna be platform to platform where it should go. So trending can be like literally anything, but it sounds crazy trending, but trends, trending audio, news, current events, etc., right? And these all, sorry.
She just did one like this where she like stitched a viral video.
That was just about to say, like, one of the big things you can do here is, and we'll talk about mixing the different pillars, but for example, if you stitched something that went viral in your niche or your niche, and then you gave your opinion on it, now you're mixing up a trending topic. People are gonna watch because they're like, oh, I'm familiar with that, I'm interested in what this person has to say. And obviously you're gonna start putting in hooks with that, but trending is super, super important. This also can be just virality. Like for you, I know what you're doing. You're mixing trending audios and kind of something that goes viral. That's essentially a piece of trending content. But something else you can do is talking about things that are going viral in the space. If something really viral happened in the dance space, anything with Charli D'Amelio 2 years ago would have been amazing. That's something you can capitalize on and then put your own twist on it, give your opinions and stuff like that to kind of capitalize on the trend. And then lastly would be opinions, which doesn't really need any explanation, but opinions is just giving your take, your 2 cents, what's making your perspective unique on your industry and what you're actually teaching. What makes you different from the dance coach down the street? What makes you different from the copywriter across the street? That's the opinion stuff that's really important. And for me, I kind of mix my expertise with this framework, but I also usually give my opinions on things. In the space. So like all this it's essentially opinion, but it's also expertise. So there's a lot of nuance here. So what this actually looks like, and I'll go down here actually, content that's going to be growth oriented. So we have growth, and we got this, and then we have nurture. And when it comes to growth, I like to put the expertise content and the trending content. This is gonna be like the most heavy lifting on the growth. I know you're aware of it and you're probably aware of it as well. Almost all of your growth is gonna come from the frameworks, the lists, the mental models, and it's gonna come from the trending, the virality, etc. That's where all the growth's gonna come from. And then all the nurture is gonna come from the personal, the social proof, and the opinions. Now this is the why should you buy from me, why should you listen to me, how do you relate to me, what are my thoughts on things, and this is gonna position myself as an authority. So I'm gonna go into kind of like Instagram here because I know you guys are heavy on Instagram. These, a lot are gonna be just reels and stills. So, reels, and actually I'll go carousels, I'm just gonna go with a CR. Because I know, Ingrid, you can probably really capitalize off of stills and carousels. You're gonna be heavily on the reels side. I don't necessarily think you even need to change anything about your reels strategy. I think you more need this stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is all gonna be the reels, especially with Instagram. That's where you're gonna get 90% of your organic growth is from reels, just because that's the algorithm that's really going to help you blow up. Reels, carousels are actually gonna give you some organic growth. We've even seen with her carousels that she's starting to get non-followers from certain carousels that usually get a certain amount of likes. We start to see some non-followers, whether it's shares or it's discover page, stuff like that.
I've actually had experience with carousels. If they go mega viral, they'll hit the explore page, and I've grown like almost 700 new followers from one carousel.
Wow,
On my most viral one.
Okay.
And for personal, social proof and opinions, this is gonna be your stories. Stories. You can go as far as putting podcasts, putting people off platform, email, YouTube. Basically anywhere someone can spend more time with you than the 10 seconds. That's where you want to start putting a lot of your personal, your social proof, your opinions, highlights. I mean, you can keep going, right? For us on Twitter and LinkedIn, for example, since we're able to post 21 to 28 times a week, I can do all 5 of these just in tweets and threads. With something like Instagram, you're not posting 28 reels a week, are you?
No.
That'd be crazy. Yeah, that'd be insane. So you have to be a little bit creative, and it's definitely platform to platform, which is why I wanted to make this Instagram specific. But this is gonna be the stuff that's gonna convert people, and you're gonna be weaving your call to actions into this stuff. But these are really the 5 pillars that are gonna get you that personal brand that's gonna be something that you can actually have for 5, 10, 15 plus years. I know my clients have met Cody Sanchez, Sahil Bloom, like all these big people just from having a bunch of followers with a really personal brand. So, are there any questions on the pillars and how you can apply them for yourself?
It's really cool, and definitely I'm realizing that I have been focusing on some which are kind of like easy for me, or I was maybe focusing too much on growth. So I was not putting so much on the storytelling, or maybe a little bit, but not enough, I guess. Yeah.
Right. What do you post for growth?
So now I have a system for reels where I'm catching attention with something like there's a joke usually, like it's kind of like funny. So let's say like my recent viral reel is like I have been posting 1 reel for the past 6 months, and this is what happens. And then I say like I'm constantly stressed over my numbers. My kids don't remember how I look like. The shop assistant in the shop thought I'm a celebrity, but then she messed me up with somebody. So there's like I'm catching attention there, and then in the caption I'm giving some like tips of the expertise things. So like I don't know, this would be like how to stay consistent on social media. And then I have a second one which works nicely, and it's more like the storytelling, like I'm showing some emotions, and again in the caption I'm educating people.
Right. And do you feel like you're missing any of the pillars?
Definitely I'm not doing carousels, and I should do them because I believe they are good. I somehow feel my content is kind of like all the time the same things, which people might be bored a little bit after some time,
Right.
I guess. And yes, I just feel I'm doing the same over and over again, so I wanna try some new things. And like the social proof, let's say, I'm putting that into my stories a lot, so I screenshot something and put it there. Definitely, I should focus more on the opinions because I think it is a good way how to stand out, like to say, I think about some things in this way, and etc. And storytelling, I'm using it a little bit, also mostly in stories, not so much in the posts. So maybe I should.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I think carousels for you, especially, I always say like the practice what you preach is amazing. And you can do this in your content, you can do this in your content too, but if you're a copywriting coach now. Yeah, I think the practice what you preach, people will, if they see you copywriting, they're more likely to take you on as a copywriting coach. So I think carousels would be amazing for you.
Yes.
And even for you, like with your personal content, if they see you, like the reels are one thing, but if they actually see you out and about doing your dance, being at studios, doing your thing, it's another one of those things where it's like if she's doing it and they're actually following you for you, then they're more likely going to be to do it as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I wanted to talk about something with each individual pillar. So one thing that's really been helpful for our clients has been this right here, which is frameworks. Frameworks are something that I just recently discovered, and it's just that more people are more likely to remember what you're talking about and actually learn from what you're talking about and take it as gospel if you can put it into some kind of framework. So for me, this is a framework. It's Pesto. Before it was just kind of like content pillars, but everyone's heard of content pillars, right? So what I did is I turned it into a framework. I called it Pesto. So we've been doing this for all of our clients. We've been basically taking their expertise and turning it into some sort of framework. And like, for example, with you, with the bundles, right? That's essentially kind of like a framework or a model, is when you can bundle something together and give it a name, right? If you have salsa, bachata, merengue, etc., right? Calling it like the Latin, like a Latin explosion or something like that, right? I don't know or taste of Latin America or something like that. I don't know what to call it. If I put more thought into it, I'd crush it. But people are just 10 times more likely to buy and 10 times more likely to actually believe you. Because usually when they just see kind of like salsa, but they've heard salsa a million times, right? So they're kind of like, do I really want to learn salsa? But if if it's like Latin immersion or something like that, like take this with you to actually travel to Latin American countries and stuff like that. They're more likely to buy, but they're also more likely to listen, and it's more likely to go viral because people love bookmarking frameworks. So one thing that I always say with content is kind of be bookmarkable and don't be copy pastable. So that's a really important thing. So especially for copywriting, this is something that, I do it in my content, is I just make up frameworks that people can kind of follow. And you'll kind of notice this when everyone you look up to, at least in the education space, has some sort of framework. I know you have a bunch of frameworks. Frameworks, acronyms, mental models, etc. do really well. And then piggybacking off of that is listicles. So if you can just start culminating your expertise into one or two words per thing and turn it into a list, right? 10 types of dance you and your partner need to know. And then the bass drops and then all 10. And then it keeps replaying over and over again, right? People love listicles because they bookmark them because they tell themselves in their head, I'm gonna miss this. Like I'm not gonna remember all 10. So they bookmark it. And now they're like, okay, 10 things, 10 things, 10 things. Same thing with listicles. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you, so I have like two frameworks. One is actually, so my surname is like Dach, D-A-C-H, so it's one of them is like Dach, like my surname, and the other one is another one. So I have like two of them, and I wonder like how many, or like how much is too much, or like if I should like really name all the processes I'm teaching in a way, and I have like 50 of them, that's maybe too. So how do you approach it?
I personally would name almost everything. I would name everything that's possible to name.
Okay, really?
Because what it's gonna do is gonna act like it's making everything super concise into one thing, and it's much easier to digest. What are some of like the frameworks that you're talking about?
So the DACH is like 4 types of people. Like it comes from some old, like we are like extroverted, introverted, blah blah, and each person needs a little bit different type of information just before he buys. Some people need more like logical arguments. Some people are more like emotional buyers. So I have like 4 types of people, and then I teach like you should have all 4 types of copy in your content. For example, if you are launching, and the other one it's Odin, it's ODIN, and it's like a framework if you want to have a launch, but not like a big one, but a small one. So it's like 4 steps that you have to do.
Right.
And of course, I could easily, or easily I don't know, but I could make some more ones, like let's say, when I'm teaching 4 things that are like important in your business, but like in a specific order, like the first one is the most important one. So I could make maybe easily 5 more like this.
Yeah.
So you would really say I should do it.
Exactly, yeah, especially for carousels, because with carousels, what happens is you end up having like what a carousel actually looks like. It's just like a bunch of these, but they're very hard to digest. And I notice even the best performing carousels with her is when it's just a block of text like this, it's very difficult to digest. For example, right, a big copywriting framework would be IDA.
Yes.
So for example, if this is A, and this is I, and this is D, and this is A, so much easier to digest, and people feel like they have to bookmark it. So with carousel performance, you want, this is almost exclusively with carousels, you're gonna want these 2 things right here, is listicles and frameworks, and mental models, which is basically just a framework, are gonna be your best performers when it comes to carousels. And then the other best performer in carousels is honestly opinions. Even with her, we just recently did one where it was like, what was it? I make $100,000 a month, but my man still pays for dinner. I still make my man pay for dinner, something like that. We wrote it, but it's like, but that one is controversial enough to where they're just like gonna read it. But you really just have to hook the reader in. So how can you hook the reader in? Controversial opinions, listicles, frameworks that are bookmarkable. Those are really the 2 things. What I found too is a lot of times with these frameworks and listicles is people will bookmark and then not even read it. They tell themselves that they're going to read it later and they don't read it, but it's extremely helpful for the algorithm, especially on X and LinkedIn, but even on Instagram. Once something's starting to get bookmarked or saved a lot, I believe it is on Instagram, the algorithm just thinks of that as that's something that's an amazing piece of content that a lot of people need to see. So yeah, the last thing I really wanted to talk about too is with the nurture content, because something that I kind of built my business off of. Everyone was always talking about growth, and I actually started my company with, we'll guarantee you followers. I quickly realized that everyone's doing that, and it's also, there has to be a better way. What do people actually care about? They care about money. So all of the content, this entire framework was actually built off the premise that we want to make money, and the money is what's going to be the engine for us to grow our personal brand. Something that, for example, Alex Hormozi or Layla Hormozi, they do is they invest like $500K a month in their personal brand. Usually people, as they grow, are going to invest more and more. He even was telling you guys how to hire a video producer. So you want to make money from your personal brand so that you can then reinvest it into your personal brand. And it's going to create bigger and bigger opportunities for your companies. For example, if you exit one day, what are you going to have left? It's only your personal brand. So monetization is going to be super important. Do either of you guys have email lists that you are actively using?
Yes.
You both do? So email lists are really good for personal nurture content. I know she does it amazing, but what I see a lot of people doing is they kind of have like very general newsletters. And in my opinion, emails are absolutely the best nurture. And I learned this from my podcast host, but email is, especially if you're reel heavy with all of your content being viral reels, email is extremely, if not the most powerful thing you can do to nurture and also mix in these things, which is personal, social proof, and opinions. And you can mix them all in every single email. And the best way to do this is, and you can do this daily, you can do bi-daily, but I usually just recommend whatever you can stay consistent with. You want to start mixing in those personal stories, write it yourself, make it from the first person, and really kind of tell stories, daily stories, stories about your life, whether it's a weekly or a daily email. Mix in these 3 pillars because that's what's going to nurture, and then have multiple call to actions. Just a practical tip is if you have an email and your subject line's here, you want to make sure, like a cell phone, I believe, so a cell phone can only see 6 to 9 lines before they scroll down. So call that here. You want to make sure you have a CTA in the first 6 to 9 lines. And it doesn't have to be, hey, buy my thing. It could just be hyperlinked. So if you have 4 sentences and one of those happens to be salsa, you hyperlink the word salsa to the salsa course or the salsa landing page or the Latin landing page, whatever you want to do, the bundle. But in those first 6 to 9 lines, make sure you have some sort of link click there and then have another one at the end.
Julia, you really do such.
LinkedIn's like it is B2B, but you have to think of it as like who your buyers are. Like if you would say your buyers are on average, would you say they're on average couples?
Yes.
So it's like who on average is a couple? It's on average people who are graduating college or are educated or are high net worth, et cetera, right? Those are the people that are usually getting married, at least in America. Those people hang out on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay.
So like that's how I think about it in terms of like, should I use the platform? And then from a content perspective, your content would probably be a bit more difficult to write. It's kind of-
Do this with your fingers
right.
during a gym.
Right, but the way that X is going now and LinkedIn is, they're just both becoming video platforms, just like Instagram, just like
Okay.
YouTube.
Okay.
X, I mean, they changed their name from Twitter to become
Yeah,
kind of the
yeah.
everything app. So like I had
Yeah.
mentioned, lives and spaces are things. So you can go on there and basically be in live podcasts or live streams. The written tweets are still there, and the threads and the carousels, which we do a lot of transcriptions of. But actually, for all of our clients, we repost all of their videos on X. Both platforms have immersive swiping, just like TikTok. And both platforms you can post long form as well. So we post literally like full length 1-2 hour podcasts on Twitter with timestamps. So Twitter you can pretty much do anything. Same with LinkedIn. But as if you should go on it, I would do like a little bit of research. You would definitely do well on X because it's just the whole world's there. I mean, like that's usually where you kind of see more opinions and stuff like that. You'll see a lot. There actually no like cheerleaders that are on there. I know it's not dance, but like adjacent niches. Copywriting 100%. You should 100% be on Twitter. But like that's all my clients come from Twitter personally.
Interesting.
LinkedIn I use, but it's more like a repurpose onto LinkedIn. So it really just depends where, like who your target market is. So for you, if it's Czech business owners, and Czech business owners want to see Czech news when they're using X for Czech news, so that means that they have to be on the platform. So it's like, it just depends if they're consuming content on there. So it might take a little bit of research.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, like, of course, I might be the first one, but then if nobody is doing it, maybe it's a sign that it's not really. It's so I.
How many Czech copywriting coaches are there?
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, like not a lot, like in the US market, obviously, but.
Yeah.
I mean, I know at least like 30, I guess, and there might be many more out there which I don't even know. And there are a lot of like people who might become coaches, like they maybe like write now content, but they become coaches. And there are definitely like so many people who are teaching entrepreneurs something else, so that they are in the same niche.
Right.
And it's just like feels funny to me that I never hear of anybody using X like a tool in their business. And actually, I tried when Threads came to Europe, so it was last November. I was active there for a while, just like to see. I really liked it, but I felt there are not people who are buyers.
Yeah.
I felt like people came there to make some discussions, but I didn't feel like they are there to become my clients or something.
I'm not a big fan of Threads personally,
Okay.
but I would definitely, if I were you, the same framework as before, more, better, new. I would do more of the LinkedIn stuff, from once a week to maybe once a day, or just the same amount that if you're already posting it on Instagram, you have no reason not to post it.
You would put like those funny reels on LinkedIn?
No, more so the carousels.
Exactly.
Carousels and longer success stories and stuff like that. Make sure your profile is set up to be to actually get clicks and stuff like that. But just putting out content that can get organic reach. As a copywriting, especially you're a B2B business ultimately targeting business owners, so you should absolutely be on LinkedIn.
But it's actually so interesting because I have a friend who she's like teaching LinkedIn in Czech language, and she's kind of like saying that on LinkedIn it's enough if you post like once or 2 times a week. So you would say, like, from your experience?
Yeah, we post daily for all of our clients personally. The main way you grow on LinkedIn is through comments. So we just post daily and we have comments, and that's how we grow. Once a week probably not enough. Because the way I look at LinkedIn as a complete opposite of X. Like X is like you can go very viral, and you can also your content can just hit like almost zero. Whereas LinkedIn, it's very consistent. So for clients, like we can gain a few hundred followers a week, almost indefinitely, like never goes down ever. It's always the same amount every single week, and it's always steady growth. So LinkedIn, I very much would rather be consistent. We do daily weekdays.
But this makes sense because, as you said, if I would make like 4 to 5 carousels a week anyway on Instagram,
That's
then
what I'm
of
saying.
course I
Yeah.
can put it there. I mean,
Right.
that's no extra work.
Yeah, and the way I would do it too with that is like if my carousel, let's just say it's a framework or something like that, and in the carousel, each swipe is gonna have information on, like if it's Ida A, and it's gonna have some information on the A, and then in the actual post on LinkedIn, it would just be the framework, what each thing stands for, it'd be kind of like the summarized version,
Yes.
whereas they actually have to swipe the carousel to get the information, and you can use hashtags on LinkedIn too, so.
Sounds great. So, and would you necessarily like include some other type of content, or should I just like try this and
If
see
if you're making any sort of shorter long form content that's like education driven, yes. But like usually anything that's like loops or jokes, like they don't do too great on there.
Yeah, I know.
But like longer form or educational content, definitely.
And if you start doing like your video, like YouTube and podcasts, like
Yeah,
you
100%.
can put LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would put there a link to the YouTube video, or you would upload the video?
I would upload the YouTube video, yeah.
Okay.
You want to upload
Like
natively.
a video.
Right,
Like-
yeah. I always upload natively onto platforms
Okay.
because every platform ultimately just wants you to create content that keeps the consumer on the platform. That's what an algorithm's programmed to do. It's programmed to push content that keeps people on the platform. So as soon as you post a link on any platform, you're
Yes.
gonna start getting shadow banned because now it's just gonna flag you as someone who's pushing off platform.
And would you suggest to use the newsletter feature in LinkedIn?
Yeah, the newsletter feature is cool if you link it up to your current email software. A better feature, in my opinion, for LinkedIn is groups. If you can find groups related to Czech business owners and you can join those groups and post in those groups, you can now post your content to groups of Czech business owners who will now, they have to see your content if they're in that group. So that's like a kind of a growth hack that you can do to kind of just get your feet off the ground on LinkedIn.
Okay, well, that sounds interesting. I mean, I have like something like 2,000 followers there or something, so I'm not very active there, but I could. And I guess it's the same like on every social network, so I would have to be active there, like kind of like see what other people are doing or.
Not really. No, you just.
No.
No, I mean, if you make like some comments here and there, yeah, it's good.
Uh,
I would like respond to your own comment, like if someone's
Yeah, yeah,
commenting
yeah,
on your
sure,
post,
sure.
but you don't need to actively be scrolling on LinkedIn. I've never scrolled on LinkedIn my whole life.
Okay, because I don't like it there so much.
Yeah.
Marcos has a friend that she's like amazing at LinkedIn. Maybe I can get her to come speak in CCA because I think it would be helpful, Laura.
Yeah, she has like 160,000 on LinkedIn.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
a lot for
amazing.
LinkedIn.
That's
Yeah,
huge.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.